Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Nate Groot Nibbelink, creator of Apples and Ginos, originator of the Zero G draft strategy. Tonight, we're putting that Zero G draft strategy to the test. I'm going to be drafting against a bunch of so-called experts in a Keep 3 league, and we're going to get to biz, see how that goes. But first, we got to hit the intro. Let's get it. Welcome on in, everyone. As I mentioned, we are getting into draft season. This will be my first draft of the year. Going to try to do some live streaming of my drafts as I did last year. Hopefully going to avoid the casual round 7 goaltender pick that plagued me last year. But we'll see. The things happen in these draft streets, and sometimes when you're focusing on streaming when you should be focusing on drafting, bad things happen. That's all I can say. But this is a fun draft. Before I get into it, I'm going to take a couple minutes and just talk about a few things that have been happening around the league and get into some of the changes that I made to projections. Apples and Ginos NHL skater projections. I updated a few things. Got an update log here. You can see on September 23rd, a few days ago, I made a whole bunch of changes just based on some of the stuff we're seeing in preseason. We've got basically everybody from the Experts League is in the chat. We got Josh in the chat. We got Reese's Pieces asking for a friend, but who would you be picking first? Wouldn't you like to know? And Fired Up is asking, can we get a group therapy session for the Barkov injury? Well, you're preaching to the choir here because I kept Barkov in this league, and so that is pretty painful. But yeah, I wanted to talk through a few of these changes that I've made to projections. Some of them more impactful than others for fantasy, but I increased Zach Benson's even strength ice time. It just looks like he is going to be stuck there on the top line with Thompson. That's been a consistent thing. It looks like Josh Norris is getting first look at center there too, which is exciting. But I'm not less convinced about Norris sticking there than I am about Benson at this time because Benson was there already last year. So I'm giving a little boost to Benson, nothing too crazy. Coronado, I gave a boost to the even strength on ice shooting percentage because he has been getting some looks on the top line and not being stuck with Backlund and Coleman. I decreased Ehlers' even strength IPP by 3%. I just think that probably wasn't taking into account enough the fact that he's playing with better players now and probably won't have to dominate the individual points percentage as much as he has had to do in years past on Winnipeg. Bunch of stuff for Chicago here. So basically decreasing Ryan Donato's power play share and increasing Nazar's because that's what we've seen in the early going. Really thought Donato would hang on to that power play from last year, but that wasn't at least the first run out. Lots of time left in the year for things to be switched around, but that is the initial run out, and so I'm going to react a little bit accordingly. All of these changes, like we're talking maybe 2 or 3 points here or there. There's nothing that's going to drastically change my overall projection on the player, but a few things that I did think I could be a little bit more accurate on was worth doing that. Basically flipping Levshunov and Rinzel. Rinzel has been getting the top power play looks so early on. I was close to 50-50, but leaning Levshunov. We see Rinzel. I'm changing my priors. Pretty straightforward. Also increased Bertuzzi's power play time on ice because I thought that he was less likely to be a lock, but seems like he is getting that look over top of Donato, which is obviously bullish for him. I decreased Heiskanen's power play time on ice based on the fact that Harley's been getting the early power play 1 looks. Fixed the games played for a few players. Hyman going to be out for a while. I increased Kachuk's a little bit because the update we got from the GM was a little bit more bullish than what we'd heard in the past. Still think it's probably into January, but A little boost there. I think Brodin is on track to probably start the season based on the fact that he's basically been skating since the beginning of camp. That reduced Buyam's even strength time on ice a little bit for me. Then get into New Jersey, decrease Luke Hughes' power play time on ice just by a quarter of a minute, so nothing crazy, but increase the same amount for Hamilton. I just don't think that based on what we've seen that we're going to get. I don't think we're going to get Luke Hughes on power play 1 right away. It seems to me like Sheldon Keefe is not a guy who is going to just let somebody walk in off the street after he finally signs a deal and hand him the keys to the power play. But yeah, I don't. I just think that Hamilton is at least going to get some run early in the year, where I thought at least coming into the season that Hughes could have power play 1 right from day 1, and now I don't think that's as likely. Reacting to Philadelphia power play news, I already had Drysdale as power play 1 there, so no change for him, but increasing Couturier, increasing Zegras a little bit, only a quarter of a minute there, but decreasing Forster by a lot as he's off that unit in the early going, and it really does seem like they want Couturier there for faceoffs. And Zegras has been, everything has been pretty bullish for Zegras, actually. That's been, if you want to believe in training camp hype and preseason hype, then Zegras might be one guy who's getting a lot of positive press. He's staying late after practice, playing pitch and catch and shoot around with Michkov, like all the stuff that you want to, all the little sound bites you want to get from beat reporters you're getting about Trevor Zegras. Pia Suter, this is just in reaction to, Blake and I were pretty far apart on the player, and I think I was probably a little bit high, so took him down a peg here. He has been getting second line looks over top of Shen, which is pretty interesting. So I didn't take him down too much, but I did take him down a little bit here. Increased Bjorkstrand's power play time on ice, decreased Hagel's, also increased Bjorkstrand's power play shots for per 60. Really does look like they want Bjorkstrand to be that guy on the power play, at least at the start here. Increased a bunch of stuff for Michelli, even strength time on ice, even strength shots for per 60, even strength on ice shooting percentage. Basically, everything has been pretty bullish for Michelli from my perspective. He's been getting the look on the top line. Domi came back to practice and was played on the third line in practice. I think that Michelli is going to get that first look on opening day, and I just think he's a better player than Max Domi in basically every facet of the game. Max Domi is pretty limited in my mind. He's not a defensive stalwart either, so it's not like you're putting him on the top line just because he can play defense. So I really don't know that there's anything Max Domi can do that Matias Michelli can't. And so given that, I just thought that, it was possible with a coach like Craig Berube that he might, make Michelli work for it or something, keep him down the lineup in the early going. That does not seem to be the case. Increased Riley's power play time on ice and shots for per 60 on the power play as well, just a little bit in the early going. Decreased Logan Cooley's power play time on ice a little bit, as it really does seem like Utah is going to go with the incumbents, much to everyone's chagrin. Increased Evander Kane's power play time on ice and decreased Heedles. Still want to see how that one goes, but I didn't want to underreact to the fact that Kane did get a look there. So I want to see how that one goes. I'm still not sure. Actually, I haven't had a great chance because of this draft. I've been preparing for the draft this evening. I haven't gotten a great chance to just see if there's any changes as of today. Power play units for tonight. Oh yeah, that was yesterday. Hiro was playing on the other one there. Yeah, nothing too crazy. And then Mark Stone has been getting poor deployment, in my opinion, so I've decreased a bunch of stuff for him. I was also just pretty high on his projection. It came out pretty high, and it felt bad. And I just felt like I didn't need to be the highest guy in the industry on Mark Stone. It felt like a bad place to be, so just kind of bringing him down overall. And then I did increase Jacob Chikrin's power play time on ice and power play shots for per 60 a little bit here. It looks like in the early going again, and again, as long as nothing new has come out, that he's been getting power play 1 looks alongside John Carlson, and that's pretty good stuff. Ovechkin on his way back, that's good. I was never really that worried about that one. I never thought that he was going to miss any time. We are 3 minutes away from the draft here. I do kind of have to think about who I'm going to be drafting. But we should get into some of these comments. It's been going off while I've been talking here. We got 46 people watching. If you are watching, please drop a like on the stream. It really does help us get out there and help people see what's going on with Apples and Ginos. Let's go. Best of luck drafting. Blake is in here. Armin, nice to see ya. Reese's Pieces. Can we get Blake to announce all the picks like Bettman? The pick is in. Mark Skinner thinks that'd be a good one. Skinner, you're staying up late for this one. I know it's a big deal, the Keeper League, but it is a big deal to stay up late on a Thursday too. So appreciate you, Mr. Blake Creamer. Anything for you, Big Sexy. This is a family program, sir. Let's keep it respectful. Armin asks, who do you like more between Strome, Slav, Terry, Donato, Allmark, Hill? I got Ovi and got no goalies in round 10. Cupful points system. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't need a goalie in that spot, so I'm not too worried about that. I like Terry. I like Strome. You have Ovi. You can kind of stack that. And I mean, you don't have to. It's not something I'm like super excited about necessarily, but you can definitely do that. I won't fault you for it. But I mean, it's hard for me to go against Troy Terry. I just think he's going to have a great year with Joel Quenneville. Lost Ones is in here. Nice to see you. He wants to know for Blake who let him get this team previously. Criminal stuff. Danny, curious, is your cheat sheet more towards cats or points leagues? Does it work for both? Yeah, so the Skaters projections, courtesy of 18 Skaters, who is a member of the Experts League. We have a cats modifier. You can play with the modifiers and give more or less weight to some of these, but he has some base ones in there for you to start with. But if you go into the sheet and you can go to these cats modifiers and you can play with that, and that gives you this cats per game stat, and you can sort your players by that. So we've got lots of ways. You can use it for cats. You can use it for points. No worries there. I honestly have not thought about who I'm going to take here. We got Ryan in here. And Mark says, yeah, it's 11 p.m. there. Appreciate you staying up late. I honestly have not thought a lot about who I'm going to pick. I've purposely covered up my queue to keep all these queue snipers away. I don't really think that anybody's going to be queue sniping, to be honest, but it is going to be a hotly contested draft, that is for sure. And it is a keeper league. Yeah, as I mentioned, I have Barkov, I have Rantanen. This is 1 year I'm not super excited about Rantanen. I do like having Hedman as a piece here. I'm going to kill the sound here once I remember where it's at. There we go. Nobody wants to hear Yahoo sounds. Jason Robertson, right off the top. That is a good pick. That would have definitely been a player I would have been interested in if he had lasted. Does not last here, and no surprise. It will be interesting to see if anybody goes kind of heavy on, the, goes kind of heavy on the younger players. I mean, I'm thinking about it. My team, I lost some pretty key pieces here, and if Barkov's out, then this team is looking pretty rough. Right from the start. You will see like people are kind of all over the board here. That is because there's been a lot of draft pick trades, and so the board is not going to populate if you're watching. It's not going to just go left to right or anything. It's going to be all over the place, so keep that in mind. It is going to be a little bit hard to watch in terms of the draft board, I'm afraid. But you'll at least be able to see, at least over here, who's being picked. For people who are interested, I have pinned the scoring settings in the chat here, and the roster settings are 2 center, 2 left wing, 2 right wing, 4D, 2 utility spots, 2 goaltender spots, and 4 bench. So basically the cacuffle format. Basically, all the interesting players that we expect are going off the board here. And it is to me here. I have some interesting decisions. I had some thoughts about what I might do here. Take a swing, go on someone early, try to lock up something long term or try to lock up something short term. But in the end, it's hard for me to not try to compete every single year. It's really tough for me to just not go back in. Man, this is tough. I really want to do the thing. I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to take Matt Kachuk right off the top, and maybe that totally sewers my year, but he should be a like a keeper player moving forward for a long time. And it's just a spot where I just feel like Matt Kachuk is a guy that I want to have on my team, even if it is only for half the season, even if I find it really hard to make playoffs now because of that. Yeah, I just feel like Kachuk, yeah, I do have Barkov and Kachuk who might both be injured for the majority of the season. Who knows? But it was just a spot where I felt like I had to do it, to be honest with you. Had to swing big. I want to really keep my options open in terms of the keepers in this league. I felt like my keepers have been falling off. Hedman is getting older. Rantanen, I'm not nearly as excited about anymore. So yeah, there are just some reasons that I felt like that's the way I had to go here. Not had to go, but felt that was the best choice on the board. I forgot how much it sucks to draft and talk at the same time. I'm going to have to do this to get a hold of who's gone off the board here. Otherwise, I'm going to get myself in some bad situations here. Did I get Pettersson? I got Pettersson. Did I get Crosby? Got Crosby. I think I'm caught up. Stützle, Kachuk. I think I'm caught up. Good. Okay. And yeah, we'll see how this goes from here on out. Like, just because I took Kachuk there in this keep 3, keep forever format, there's no restrictions. Just because of that doesn't mean that I'm going to, punt this whole draft or do anything crazy. I still think there are lots of options here for me to still be relevant this year, and not only relevant, but try to win the league. So, yeah, I just thought that Matt Kachuk was a guy that I'll probably end up hanging on to in this league for like the next 5 years at least. And that's just so valuable. It's really hard to get away from that when he's just staring you in the face, a guy that you feel really confident is going to be a keeper for you for a long time. It's really hard to let that go by, even if it does mean that you might take a step back for a year. That's not a guarantee. This is a tough league. There's a lot of really good managers in this league. I guess I could mention some of these players as well. Reese's Pieces, Brandon, the AV guy. The AV guy is doing all of the cut-ups for all of our shorts on socials and everywhere that you've been seeing basically any video short content. The AV guy is responsible for that. So big shout out to him. He's been doing tremendous work for us. Evan is in here, and Ryan from the Midweek Pod. They're both in here, so that's good stuff. Konechny goes off. We got 18 skaters in here. We got Raj from 5 Hole. We got Blake, obviously. We got Fired Up. We got Immature Dan. We got Mark Skinner. Both been in here since the start. And we got Hutch, Mr. Josh Hutchinson, who won this league last year and is paying the price because he has no picks for like the first 4 rounds of this draft now. But yeah, lots of really talented managers in this league and lots to look forward to. In terms of the competition, we did lose some managers from previous years. We lost 3 managers and had to make some replacements, but yeah, really good replacements, really strong replacements. I think we're in a spot where we're going to have really, really high level play in this league this year, and I'm pretty excited about that. I'm always trying to get my leagues to be a higher level of play. This is going to be a spot where I think I'm going to go get Thomas Harley. I think that he could be, if he does hang on to power play one for most of the year, if not all of the year, I do think he is a guy who could also be a keeper next year. I think he has point per game upside. I think that's a real possibility. So I really like Thomas Harley, and I'm willing to reach for him, especially in a keeper format where I think that there's a possibility of him just absolutely going off. So that's where I'm at on Thomas Harley. I'm probably not going to get to a bunch of comments here. Just saying, it's going to be pretty tough for me to do all of the things that I need to do currently, but you can keep talking amongst yourselves. Reese's Pieces debated taking Kachuk. Guys like him aren't available. Yeah, honestly, I don't even know. We've had some injury guys, but I think most of them were kept in previous years. So this might be the first time that we've really seen a player of Kachuk's caliber go back into the draft in this format, in this league. This league has been around, I think this is the fourth year, maybe the fifth year? Fourth year, I think. I think it's the fourth year. But yeah, so we've had a few years of doing these drafts, and I think I think it would be, I think Matt Kachuk would be the best player to re-enter the draft, basically. Obviously, the injury is of concern, but still love the player, and I'm happy to add him, if not for this season, then definitely for multiple seasons moving forward. Vincent Trocheck goes. That's an interesting one. Mark Scheifele goes. That was going to be one that I was going to take if he didn't, if he came all the way back to me. He was at the top of the board for me. Really like some Mark Scheifele in the late fifth, early sixth, where he's been going. That feels pretty good. Hard to get mad at it. Interesting stuff. I did think we'd see a few other trends. I don't want to like blow up a spot, or if somebody's thinking they're going to get somebody to follow, I don't want to call it out and somebody else hears about it on stream and they feel like I contributed to that. So I don't want to blow up somebody's spot, but maybe once we get some more picks off, I'll talk a little bit more about some trends that I thought we would have seen by now, but hasn't quite come through. Interesting. But there's lots of time left in this draft for things to get weird. Shesterkin, what's going on here? Was that an auto? $18 skaters taking a goalie. There's no way. What just happened? I think Mark fell asleep. We kept him up past his bedtime. He fell asleep, and he drafted a goalie. Is Shesterkin in the sixth or my Swayman in the seventh from last year auto draft? Which one's worse? That's funny. The scoring settings in this are definitely not goaltender friendly. That is by design. Nobody in this league is super excited about drafting goaltenders, so we don't force it on people. There is a lot of uproar in the chat about Mr. 18 Skaters taking a goaltender. That was not on anybody's bingo card. This is a man who routinely doesn't roster any skaters or any goaltenders, sorry, in the season, and just doesn't worry about it. Just plays with what else is out there. All right, we still got some pretty good options. Gunther was an interesting one. I thought that one might go off a little earlier, to be honest, given the breakout potential. Nobody saw that coming. That is true. Nobody saw that coming. Be interesting to see where the next goaltender goes off. But I don't think it'll be anytime soon with this one. My turn is next. And there's some interesting options still out there. Cole Caulfield goes off. Huh. There are some pretty interesting options still out there. I'm kind of wondering. I think I might just settle in with a really solid bankable player. Yeah, I think we are gonna go ahead and take Sebastian Aho here, mid sixth. Feels pretty fantastic. Hopefully the power play gets better. Now we've got some Nikolai Ehlers in the building, and that should just mean even more good things for a guy like Sebastian Aho. So, pretty into Sebastian Aho in the mid sixth this year. That feels pretty good. Stamkos goes off. Center, left wing, right wing. That's early for me, but if he has a big bounce back, needs to generate more shots. Yeah. Nashville as a whole just needs to figure it out. It wasn't even necessarily that they weren't generating chances last year. It's just that they weren't converting on the chances, which was not a problem for them in years prior. Fired Up says, I knew you were hinting at Kent there. Thank you for inspiring me. Yeah, that was one. There's a larger trend that I think is interesting here that's not happening. Jethro asked, did Blake trade all his picks for Burakovsky? Yeah, basically, he just had to have them. So he traded everything that he had for Andre Burakovsky. That is a typical Blake move, if I've ever seen one. Great pick. Not a fan of Ehlers this year. Not a fan of Ehlers. What does the man have to do? It's the best situation he's ever seen. Feels like he gotta be somewhat interested in that. That's early for me, but is the meanest thing, Nate says. Yeah, that's up there for me. I don't make a habit of saying horrific things. Definitely not on stream. I am missing, I think it's my 11th or my 10th round pick. My 11th round pick. I was in the playoffs last year. I didn't have a great team. A lot of other teams loaded up earlier than I did, and I felt like I wasn't getting good value in some of the trades that were available to me, and I just decided to not really push it. So I only made the one trade with an 11th round pick. And yeah, didn't make it didn't make it very far in the playoffs. I think I won the 5th place game. So yeah, didn't do super well last year. Hoping for a better showing this year. Might be tough with the with the picks that I've made, but you know, we can hope. Now we're starting to see some of these defensemen coming off. And Lucas Raymond got to scroll all the way down for him. I'm just kidding. All right, what else are we going to get here? 4 picks until me. Yeah, this board is a little crazy. You can see Reese's Pieces and 18 Skaters were the ones who traded away players last year and got picks. So that's why they're kind of ahead in terms of the amount of players on their teams. I got to think about who this pick is going to be for me. There's definitely a few solid options left on the board. Zibanejad goes off. And Luke Hughes could be a keeper. Have to acknowledge that possibility in a format like this. All right, who am I going to take here? We're at the 7-7. Got a couple of defensemen. I don't feel pressed. There's a couple of players I like here. I think one that I probably won't be able to get later that I should probably go get now if I want him. That's Kevin Fiala. I'm going to go do that. Feels good to lock up another solid point score. I am worried about the potential of Jim Hiller to just decimate Fiala's value once again this year, but I think he's at least set up for a nice 70-point year. And then if he gets more than that, then I'll be happy. But he should take a lot of shots. Shots are worth a fair bit in this format too. All that should be pretty straightforward in terms of projectable floor, at least for Fiala. Kind of going a little bit safer with the Fiala pick, with the Aho pick. Jackson Lacombe goes off. That was one I was hoping to come back to me in the 8th, but Fired Up is on it. Ryan saying, you weren't getting him later. Yeah, I know Ryan would have gotten Fiala if he had fallen to the 8th for sure. What's your exposure at for Zubs? I'm not sure who Zubs is. Is this something I should know? Is this a well-known nickname that I'm just somehow missed? It's possible. 58 people watching. Appreciate you all watching. If you could hit the like button while you're around, that'd be pretty stellar. J-Mac, who is Zubs? Oh, you're asking Fired Up for Zibs. It's probably like 60% or something ridiculous. Jake Ottinger. 18 skaters going the all G strategy this year. That's a new one. Maybe. I mean, maybe. Love that ASMR voice of yours. Appreciate that, Lost Ones. 40% Zib. Yikes. And the Barkov exposure. Yeah. That is a tough one. It hurts me here a fair bit too. I mean, we still don't know the actual prognosis. Probably find out as soon as tomorrow, by the time if people are listening to this episode the day after. That's definitely information that tends to come out pretty quickly. I don't think they're gonna, they're gonna rush them in for a MRI or whatever they need to do. So I think we'll probably get information pretty quickly on whether it's the worst scenario that everybody's fearing at the moment. I gotta get these goalies out of here. I would show the draft board more, but it is like pretty horrendous to look at. I don't know if people tell me in the chat if you really want to see this draft board, but I don't know that it's anything to look at, to be quite honest with you. You can kind of watch the picks coming off on the side. Verhaeghe's a nice pick down here. Don't mind that. Although if he has anybody left to play with, right, by the time this all shakes out, Kachuk's out, Barkov's out. Who else is going to be out? 2 more picks till my turn. I got to lock in here. Got to figure out who the pick is going to be. Got to think that some of these targets that I have, I think I'll be able to get later in some spots. I won't be able to get later in this spot. And so I have to be a little bit more aggressive. I really am not that worried, though. There's a lot of players that I like a little bit later on. J-Mac, Barkov injury make it worse or better for Verhaeghe? Definitely worse. Verhaeghe generally plays with them at even strength and generally on the power play. If he's on the top power play, I guess. But yeah, that is brutal for Verhaeghe if Barkov is out for any amount of time. I guess you could say that it makes him more assured of getting power play time, but that's glass half full at the best. Okay, where are we at here? We're at 90. There's a few players I really like. I don't think that Alex Tuck is going to fall if I don't take him here. Again, some pretty solid floor. Just a great player. Has been getting power play 1 in the early going. So why would I not? Raj, true to form, taking Thatcher Demko approximately 6 rounds before he needs to in this league. Nobody was gonna be fighting you for Demko. Raj, you can let it go a few more rounds. I respect the bit though. You have to. If only I had as much belief in the Toronto Maple Leafs as Raj does in his Vancouver Canucks. That's true fandom right there. And I aspire to that. Thomas Hertel. Yeah, that's a valid pick in this range for sure. I start to see these C-only guys creeping up the board. I wish we had more news on Barkov. One more day, and I might have had a much better idea of if I'm just dropping him on IR for the year and therefore have another spot to spend on a C-only. But you only can draft when your draft slot is. That was a horrible way to phrase that. It's been a long week. Holloway was one I thought I could push another round. That hurts. Good pick from 18 skaters. Tavares is a good pick as well. Nichushkin is a good pick as well. All my targets for the next round. Cooley. All my targets. The run. It hurts. Evan and Ryan. The rivalry continues. If this team was healthy, I'd feel really good about it. Unfortunately, it's not anywhere near healthy, so that is pretty perturbing. Eric Carlson, Nazem Kadri. Okay, so we're getting a few of the C-onlys off. It's good stuff. Good stuff. I don't have Blake in the way here, so I think I've got my guy on lock. As long as nobody scrolls down too far. Danny, you have Matthew Tkachuk pretty high with his bad injury. What round do you think he should be a prio? So, yeah, this being a keeper league, obviously, there goes Barzal. That was who I was going to pick. That was the pick. Now I got to recalibrate again. These guys are not making it easy. I knew they wouldn't, but there's a difference between knowing and seeing it happen to you in real time. Matthew Tkachuk, in redraft leagues, it's pretty dicey. Like we really don't know when he's coming back exactly. We've heard like 2 or 3 months range from different people at this time. He doesn't have a lot of incentive to rush back. There's basically, you think he's going to come back for the Olympics. That's about it. That's the only deadline, I guess, that I feel like he's really going to try to hit. But that's like February. Like you've got to play the majority of your fantasy season before that. You can't just take a guy and totally hamstring your team and not think about that. So it is pretty tough. I think, yeah, it depends. Like if you know that you're gonna boat race your team, your league, I mean, if you know that you're better than your league mates, like if it's a home league, then sure, like grab Matt Tkachuk, make sure that you get him. You have to draft him in like the, I don't know, the 6th round or something, but you know that all these guys that you would have to take in the 6th round in a tougher league, you can actually get way later. If that's your case, then by all means, don't feel like you have to wait. What am I doing here now? All of my targets have gone off the board. I think I'm going back to D. Am I? This is rough. I was hoping to have more dual eligibility, that's for sure. Yeah. I think we just go with John Carlson here in the 9th round. Defense feels pretty good. I don't know if this team, like, that's the thing. Like, Barkov and Kachuk could be out for a while. If I can just kind of coast around, keep myself in the playoff race until then, until they come back, if they come back, then this could be a good squad. There's a lot of floor on this squad. I'm not sure about the ceiling. Harley is a guy that I think has a lot of ceiling, but the rest of them, I don't know how much ceiling there is. Blake taking Jordan Kyrou. Everybody had that on their bingo card. Montour's good pick. Sounds like he's going to be back sooner rather than later. Don't mind that here. Brian Rust is a great pick every time, wherever you take him. Just a fantastic, beautiful man. What else we got? The dual eligibility stuff is kind of rough. I have Rantanen, which is nice that he randomly has left wing this year after being right wing only forever. But Kachuk, obviously, I'm not going to get the benefit of his dual eligibility for quite some time. I don't think there's a lot of dual eligible guys much later. I mean, there are some like way down here. Maybe dip my toe in the deep waters a little later on, but there's not a lot of left wing, right wing guys still out there. Matthew Nyes. Wonder if Nyes will take another step this year. And if he does, will it only be enough to offset the crazy shooting percentage from last year, or will it be enough to take another step fantasy scoring wise? Joel Eriksson Ek is a solid C only pick in the 10th. There are definitely some good players out here. I can still do this, I think. Adam Fantilli in the 10th round. That's about where you're going to have to take him if you want him. Don't mind that. Hard to hate on it. Is there anyone you like at the end of the first into the early second? APL scoring, drafting from the back end of the first feels tough this year. Yeah, I had a pretty big chat with Chris from Fantasy Puck when I went on their live stream last week about this. It feels horrible at the back end of the first. In APL, we did the third round reversal to try to offset some of that, but it still feels pretty bad. And yeah, I mean, Eichel, Hughes, Brady Kachuk, if any of those are around, then you got to do that, I think. And yeah, as long as they're healthy, they're going to score a ton of points. Then you can think about the the Quinn Hughes. You can think about the Zach Werenski and get the elite defenseman. That's really the best options that you're getting there. After that, then it really does feel like you're getting into just a really long, flat tier of Sam Reinhart, William Nylander, Mitch Marner. For me, like even Jason Robertson is close in that conversation. And so that just makes that tier really stretch out forever for me. It's not fun. It's not fun to be in there. I'm next. I don't think this player's gone. See him on the board. And that's probably going to be my pick if I'm not sniped here by 18 skaters. If I do get sniped, where am I going? Because I don't have an 11th round pick. So I want to make sure this one counts for something. I do feel like a lot of players that I really like are going to go off the board in between this pick and my next pick. So if there is somebody I'm overlooking, I want to make sure I am highlighting them now. Peterko is not it. Gonna go Tom Wilson here. Let's continue to fill out these wingers. Wilson was the legitimate top of my board. I didn't have to reach at all for that one. So that feels pretty good. I like it. Yeah, this team feels like it has a lot of floor. And then, yeah, if I can get Barkov and Kachuk in here, at some point while sticking around for the playoff run, then I would feel pretty good about that. Just going to be, can I stick around until that point against some pretty tough managers. Sean Dursey. I saw a thing about him getting a look. Game day tweets, everybody. Terrific product from the Keeping Karlsson squad. Sorting all these tweets for everybody. Okay, so basically, Sergachev wasn't at this practice, and Dursey took over on the top power play. That's all. Okay. Which makes sense. You'd expect that, if Sergachev was out, it would be Dursey up there. So they're giving him some reps. Makes sense to give him some reps with the squad now. Not make his first experience live game action. Don't mind that. Sam Bennett. I mean, if Barkov is out, maybe he gets more minutes. They've just kind of always limited Sam Bennett's minutes. He's never been a 20-minute player, even when Barkov's been out before. It's always been Lundell that gets the big boost. So I don't really know what to make of Bennett this year. McCann a nice pick. Bouillon. Gotta love some upside this late in the draft. Evan is getting sniped all over the place. He's still got the Fantasy Hockey Trades logo. Need to get that changed, my man. All right, 16 picks till my next selection here as I traded away my 11th. You can do some more comments. Anthony, I'm in a dilemma here, stuck between picking Larkin or Holloway for my 8th keeper. Goals, assists were 2 points. Hits and blocks, 0.25 points. So, okay weight for hits and blocks. Interestingly high weight for assists. Larkin or Holloway for the 8th keeper. I think you go Holloway there. The hits being worth 0.25 is not nothing, and Holloway is a big-time hitter. And I'm pretty high on Holloway. The underlying stuff to me suggests that what he did at the end of last year, while he might not convert that efficiently, again, it suggests to me that he's just pretty darn good at hockey. So I think I would go Holloway on that one, which is not something I thought I'd be saying. Evan ranked these 3 in points league with Cats, Forsberg, Panarin, Reinhardt. I'm not sure what point league with Cats means, but Forsberg, Panarin, Reinhardt. If it was Banger Cats, I would go Forsberg first. If the hits are not as big of a weight, then I would probably go... If it was sheer points, you'd go Panarin first for sure. These are really tight. If it was similar to our scoring here, or like a couple scoring, then I'd probably go Reinhardt, Panarin, Forsberg. These are literally, I think, back to back to back in my rankings. Really, really close. I guess I would probably have to go Panarin first. I'm just going back to my projections to try to figure it out because that is really tight. And I'm missing picks coming off. Man, that is really tight. I think Panarin. I think then Reinhardt and then Forsberg. Final answer. All right, I gotta get these draft results round by round so I can keep knocking them off the sheet here. Velarde. Who else we got? Gostisbehere, Besser. Gostisbehere went. Besser went. That's got to be a Raj pick. No? Demidov is a good pick. He had a nice assist in the game that I saw. I don't know if he had anything else. I only watched for a little bit, but looking off the penalty killers and making a really nice pass through traffic. That is something he can do. Nikishin and Horvat. Horvat being around this late is pretty interesting. It's tough to get excited about Horvat, especially if Barzal is going to play center and not wing on Horvat's line. Like, it is tough to get excited. That is for damn sure. All right. We are back to the board, and I've got to think. I've got 3D. I'm not like forced into defense here. There's a couple guys that I still like. There's some upside guys still on the board. There's some forwards that I still like a lot. Yeah, there's lots of options still. Lots and lots of players that I like. Actually, this is going to be pretty difficult unless I get sniped a little bit here. But Toronto... Brandon, JT Miller, Panarin points leagues with light shots, hits, blocks. Gotta go Panarin there. Ryan says, I feel real dumb with Helly and Vazzy right about now. Yeah, this may be the single league where goalies get faded the hardest. Steezy, what's your order priority for the rookie demon? Gauthier goes off. That is super painful to watch happen to me. I'm kind of surprised he lasted this long, honestly, but it is still. And Blake takes Troy Terry. Now this is just collusion. You guys talked about this beforehand. You're like, you know what we could do to really make Nate have a horrible day is take Cutter Gauthier and Troy Terry back to back before Nate's pick. And then we can laugh at him on stream. Wow. I really thought that was going to be there for me. I thought, but I was wrong. Oh, that feels bad. I don't like how that feels. Gross. Okay. Well, I'm just going to take Pavel Buchnevich, center, left wing, right wing. And cry myself to sleep tonight. So there's that. Okay, back to this. Order priority for the rookie D-men and banger leagues. Perek, Boyum, Nikishin. Ooh, Boyum is not much of a banger from what I understand. Perek might be a little bit more in the middle. Nikishin is the big-time banger. I think you go Nikishin first. Boyum's going to get top power play. I feel pretty confident about that. Boyum has more upside, I will say. But Nikishin is going to provide value with the bangs and might provide more value, like may give you value with point scoring. Perek is like the huge upside swing, basically, right? Did I get Marchessault? Yes, I did. Who did I miss? Saros. That's who I missed. Okay. Markstrom. Are we going to finally get some goalies off? We're in round 13. It's not a bad time for some goalies. Keishan is banger king. Agreed. Fired up, loving me getting sniped. Gauthier was on second power play, yeah. I think that was well within the range of possibilities in my mind to at least start the year, but I just think he's Himothy, and he'll be there sooner rather than later. So overall, not super worried. The 13th until the 27th skater comes out the same points per game for me. Back end of the first gets the end of that tier 2. Brutal. Yep, agreed. Haha, hard click on Booch. Yeah, it never feels fantastic. I'm just really leaning into this all floor team, I guess. tip it. Wow. That's early for me. Fair enough. Colton Parayko. I wonder if I have to grab the defenseman I want here, or if I can wait. What are my other options if I get sniped? My other options are fine. Blake doing a big old reach for Josh Norris. Could return value there, though. I'm into it. I like it, but it's still a reach. I'm not going to compliment Blake's picks live on stream. I think everybody understands why. Devin Taves. I don't know. My turn is next. There are any forwards that I'm still into here? I mean, yes, but the well is quickly drying. Hannafin goes. I think I'm going to take an upside pick here and draft Renzel. Think of the players left on the board, he's the most likely to exceed expectations. Wait, I missed a player. Oh, Hannafin, that's who I didn't get. Hannafin, Cousins, Cooley. Good stuff. Okay. Feeling fine. These are the goaltenders on the board in the 13th round of this league. Shabbat was one that I was looking at. I was hoping I might be able to pair Renzel with Shabbat, actually. Josh runs off Chris Kreider and Will Smith as well. I love that. I was looking at both of those guys with my next pick. It is difficult to draft against people who think like you do. Boone Jenner. I don't mind it. Could be pretty good this year. I don't think I'm into any of these defensemen left anymore. Pretty tough. Pretty tough. All right. Let's start swinging on some late round beauties. Two picks till my turn. Vander Kane, not a bad pick down here. Mark Stone, that feels pretty good down here too, to be honest. My turn to draft. I have some options. I have a lot of options, to be honest. But I think that it's kind of ridiculous that Sean Monahan is still around in the 14th round after what he did last year. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Some more floor. It's so beautiful. Matt Duchene, similar thoughts. What else are we going to get here? I'm a Caniac, and I chose her first pick was a weird pick. Wierenski, share birthday with Boone Jenner. Very nice. How is Blackwood still available here? Well, he's a little bit injured, and there he goes. Hasn't really done any training camp stuff, so that's been tough. Kent Johnson I would have taken if he'd come back. Monahan's a great pick. Well, thank you. Somebody's got to say it. Multiple people are saying it. Everybody's saying that Monahan was a great pick. I believe everybody thinks that Monahan was a great pick. His chemistry with Marchenko so good. Hopefully he doesn't get injured. Yeah. Thoughts on Nelson, power play 1 in preseason? I honestly don't know how much I buy into that. Was it a full power play 1 situation, or was it just power play 1 for the Avs today? They had this as the second and this as the first. Okay, so it was legit. Colton replaced Taves. Some experimenting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you got power play 1, that'd be great. But it feels like they got a lot of other guys that they might go with before him when the chips are down. So they have been known to move those extra pieces on the power play around in Colorado. Like, it's always been Rantanen, it's always been McKinnon, it's always been McCarr, and then everybody else gets moved around. That's just kind of the way it's always been there. And I don't know. Don't know if that really changes this year. Might just be a revolving door. I think Natchez, his role is probably pretty safe, but I think everybody else just might get the revolving door treatment. All right, who am I going to take here? You know it's getting gross when Jonathan Huberdeau is getting towards the top of your projection board. Perfetti, Doughty. Doughty is a real gross pick. Blake, what are you doing? Doughty without power play 1 in my mind is like Nikishin without the upside. That's how I feel about that. Let's see. Kuzmenko goes. All right. Well, there's still some players that I like. Nothing too crazy. I think this might be a goalie spot. I like Linus Ullmark this year. I'm going to take Ullmark. See if he can't just stay on my roster. Hopefully for the whole year. Hopefully. Not convinced he will. I feel like there's a point in every goaltender's season where he's just playing terribly, and I punt them. Are you projecting a 5-forward power play for Los Angeles? I'm not projecting it. They are running it. Doughty and Clark are together on the second power play unit. That is the reality. At the moment, it's what worked the best for them last year. There was no reason for them to change. I just thought it was very obvious based on how things went down last year that it was always going to be a 5-forward power play there. And I think Brandt Clark gets it. if they do go to a defender. Are you interested in Bjorkstrand? Seems to be getting a serious look. Power play 1. Yeah. I am. I am not like dying to have it because I think he's still like a limited player overall, but I'm definitely interested as a sleeper. We're in the 16th, 17th round. Definitely. There's no way you can be mad at a guy on power play 1 on what's been. If you did an average of the last 3 years, I bet you Tampa's would be the best power play across the last 3 years. Brandon says Allmark's the best value 10D in drafts this year, being slept on, I feel. I tend to agree. I think Ottawa has started to figure out how to play defense finally under Travis Green. I don't think they're going to be great for offense. I'm not really that interested in a lot of their skaters, but I do think that it could be quite a good situation for Allmark. Similar, but not as good as what Kemper got last year. So, Allmark, when he's falling in some of these drafts where everybody's 0G, quite pleased to take him in these 14th, 15th, 16th rounds and just see. Again, I'll drop him if he doesn't play well. I don't feel attached to any goaltender. I don't draft them where I might start to feel attached. I just get them and drop them if they suck. D'Angelo was one I was looking at, but obviously Blake was going to get in there. Okay. Well, what do I really need here? I have 2 right wing only, so I can't really do another one of those. What do we got at left wing? It's getting pretty grim. Jack McBain has an ADP on Yahoo. That is interesting. Yeah, it's not great. I guess I'm taking Jonathan Huberdeau partially because of the center left wing. He is kind of legitimately the top of my board now. So it doesn't feel good. But he's going to get a ton of minutes yet again. Hopefully Coronado can play on that line and unlock a little bit more scoring for that line at even strength. Hopefully their power play is a little bit better. Maybe Perek makes them a little bit better offensively. A man can dream. Matthias Ekholm I actually think is a pretty great pick this late. He's been so good at even strength on Edmonton. He's wildly, wildly underrated for that, in my opinion. Anze Kopitar. The only problem with Ekholm now is that you have Wallman there, who I also really like this year, because Wallman is probably next in line for power play 1 if Bouchard were to go down. So you don't have that kind of extreme upside case for Ekholm anymore, or it's not as likely, you have to say. Fogle. We're already grabbing schedule plays. Mark, what are you doing? This must be one of his last picks, because he had, that might be his actual last pick. Is it? Yeah, it's his last pick. Nice. Very nice. Lundell goes. Ekblad. Could mean Ekblad's back on power play 1 if Barkov's off. Probably Lundell replaces him 1-for-1 though, or Bennett. Still think that's probably more likely. Okay, we're back up. What are we doing here? This is gross. All the fun guys are definitely gone at this point. kind of like Tyler Seguin again this year. He projects pretty well. His even strength numbers are really good. I kind of don't mind it. We're in the 17th. I think I'm going Tyler Seguin. Like my base projection for him, even considering like the fact that he's not going to get a ton of minutes, 16.5 minutes is what I have him for, not on power play 1, still comes out to 30 goals and 58 points. He just projects so well every year. Hard to get away from it. Lafreniere taken? Yes, he has been taken. Brant Clark goes. Could just be a schedule play. Marco Kasper. Don't mind that down here. Kasper and Protas. Not Portas. Protas. There we go. Excellent. My turn is next. Schmaltzke has been getting power play 1 in Utah, which is interesting. That means that I get my schedule play, get Trevor Moore. For those who don't know, LA opens the year with 2 at the back-to-back on 2 off nights. So your week 1 streamers, Los Angeles Kings. Sam Montembeau. Should be volume there. Stuart Skinner. I was actually hoping I could get Skinner next round. I would have probably done that. Do not mind that shot. You're paying nothing. Like if he flames out, he flames out. You're gonna be fine. So really don't mind that. Klingberg. Didn't they run? I think Klingberg's just nursing like a really minor injury. Yeah, back on the ice today. They ran Dickinson on the top power play with Klingberg out. That's what everybody wants to happen. It's Dickinson to get up there. Coronado this late is pretty sweet. I didn't think I could take another right wing only, or I might have considered Coronado. Bionk. Rossi is a nice pick down here. He's been getting line 1. If that happens even for a time, you're going to be loving life. Goaltenders. I think Joey Decord's still out here, so we'll round it out with my second goaltender. All right. That is going to be my draft. We can do a little review. Let me check these comments real quick. Last ones, can you help me pick 2 from these 4? Terry, Coronado, Kasper, and Rossi. Terry, number 1, and probably Rossi, number 2. Evan, which of Rantanen, Miller, or Marner will perform the best on their new team fantasy-wise? Depends on your format a lot. Miller's the best in bangers. Rantanen and Marner are more all-around / points. If it's just pure points, like points only, then Marner. Yeah, if you're just going by the sheer number of points, then Marner. But Miller and Rantanen will probably score more goals. So if your format values that more, then you might want to look that way. So there's that. Blake says Josh Norris ultimate sleeper. Is he still a sleeper if you overdraft him by 3 rounds? I don't know. All right. So the team for me is Alexander Barkov, Mikko Rantanen, and Victor Hedman as my keepers. Then adding to that, I got Sebastian Aho. Took Matt Tkachuk with my first pick in the 4th round. Just felt like I couldn't ignore the fact that this guy's going to be a keeper for me most likely for the next 5 years at least. And I am getting older with Victor Hedman on the back end as one of my longtime keepers. Took Alex Tuck, Tom Wilson on the right wing side. Took Thomas Harley, John Carlson, Sam Renzel as my defenseman. I feel pretty strong about that, to be quite honest with you. Like Hedman, Harley, Carlson as a top three, and then Renzel as a fourth, who has some upside. If he doesn't pan out, then we'll kick him to the curb and find somebody else. But I feel pretty good about that. Fiala, Buchnevich, Monahan, Huberto, Sagan, and Trevor Moore as my first week streamer. Feel pretty good about that. Not a lot of upside. All the hypey picks were definitely getting taken early in this draft, as they usually are. So I didn't find a ton of upside plays here necessarily. I guess Renzel on defense is probably the sleeper-iest pick that I got. Goaltenders, Linus Ullmark, Joey Decord. Hopefully set and forget for a while. Hopefully Seattle's a little bit better. And I won't think about goaltenders for a bit. But if I have to, then I'll just go back to my 0G ways. That is the squad. And I think it's pretty good, all things told. I am interested to see. There are probably some pretty nice picks, pretty nice teams that were assembled here. We got Reese's Pieces and 18 Skaters were the two that had the most draft picks, who kind of sold off last year, falling out of contention, and tried to, load up for this year. So 18 Skaters kept Kachuk, Jack Hughes, and Michkov. And then drafted, what is going on there? And then drafted, why can I not scroll? That's very rude. Drafted that's very rude. Sanderson, Konechny, Ehlers, Shesterkin, DeBrincat, Heischer, Zibanejad, Ottinger, McAvoy, Riley, Holloway, Hintz, Peterka, Wallman, Vogel. Yeah, that's going to be really tough to beat. That's very solid, top to bottom. If Jack Hughes stays healthy, it's very strong. Maybe defense is a little bit on the weaker side compared to some of these other squads, but overall very strong. Reese's Pieces kept McDavid, Tage Thompson, Jesper Bratt. Picks Jason Robertson with the first pick of the draft after the keepers. Josh Morrissey, Brandon Hagel, Seth Jones, Timo Meyer, Lucas Raymond, Noah Dobson, Kirill Marchenko, Logan Cooley, Zeev Buyum, Ivan Demidov, Gabriel Landeskog, Chika Markstrom, Sergei Bobrovsky, and had the last pick, which I don't think showed up for whatever reason. Yeah, whose last picks never show up. I like parts of this draft. Buyum, Cooley, and Demidov all together feels a little bit too hypey for me. Like, I want maybe 2 out of those 3 is good, but all 3 feels like you're taking on a fair bit of risk. Yeah, it's late. I guess it's probably late enough that it's not that bad, but I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Might have been some solid players, more projectable players that could have been taken there, at least in place of one of them. I like all of those players individually, but, yeah, it's just how much, if none of them really pan out, are you going to drop them right away? Are you going to wait for them all to start to pan out over the course of the season? Then you're kind of wasting roster spots and potentially losing matchups while you're waiting for them to come online. Those are the kinds of things that make me think. Let's see what Blake did here. Draisaitl, Forsberg, Boldiers, keepers. Gets Crosby in the first. Kyrou, Velarde, Terry, Norris, Nurse, Stone, Kent Johnson, Doughty, Kemper, D'Angelo, Ekblad, Protas, Montembeault, Zegras. I like Stone going that late. That felt okay. Yeah, I mean, for the picks that he had left, I think he did pretty well. He did trade off a fair number of picks last year, so I was never going to look as stellar as some of the teams with more picks. All right. Well, I'm not going to go through every single team here, but this is a publicly viewable league, so I can post a link in the description. People can go take a look if they're interested. But I think that's probably where I should call it. I still got work tomorrow. As much as I want to just sit here and look at my team, I should probably let it go. All right, folks. I think that this is going to be all that I've got for this episode. So hopefully it brought you some value. Helped you get a little bit better at Keeper League fantasy hockey today. Many thanks to Mr. Matt Creamer for supplying the music for these electric intros and outros we've got. But that is going to be it, folks. Much love.